Most pennies go unnoticed in your pocket or wallet, but today, we're uncovering the Lincoln pennies that are anything but ordinary. Stick around, because some of these coins could surprise you with their incredible stories and hidden value. By the end of this video, you might start looking at pennies in a whole new way. Rare. Unexpected. Overlooked. That's how some of the most valuable coins in American change first appear, and today's first coin is a perfect example. It's a coin so common that almost everyone has handled one at some point, yet so unusual in top condition that most collectors will go their entire lives without seeing the rare version in person. This is the 1974 D penny, a coin that began as an ordinary piece of pocket change but became one of the most surprising high-value finds of the modern era. At first glance, there's nothing unusual about a 1974 penny. Billions were made, with the Denver Mint producing a huge share of them. These coins were struck quickly, moved in bulk, and released into circulation in enormous quantities. They were never meant to be rare. They were never expected to be considered special. For most people, they were simply another coin you drop into a jar, spend at a store, or leave forgotten in a drawer. But the story changes when you look more closely at how few of these coins survived under ideal conditions. The Denver Mint in 1974 was focused on high-volume production. Machines ran constantly, and coins left the presses fast, where they immediately clashed together in bins, transport bags, and sorting equipment. The result was predictable: small marks, slight abrasions, muted surfaces, and worn luster on nearly every coin. Even the coins that never entered circulation often picked up contact marks along the way. This means that out of the billions struck, only an extremely small number remained without the usual flaws. Collectors today especially look for what are called high-grade survivors. These are coins that somehow avoided the wear, avoided the marks, avoided the rough handling, and kept their original shine. Finding such an example from the 1970s is not easy. Even a tiny scratch or dull spot is enough to lower the grade, and once the grade drops, the value falls sharply. This is why even though the 1974 D penny is common in general, the rare high-grade examples are not just desirable, they are exceptionally difficult to obtain. The Lincoln design used that year is familiar, the detailed portrait on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But on the rarest and highest quality coins, these details stand out sharply. Under light, the surfaces look clean and even, with a balanced shine that experts immediately recognize as unusual for the era. When one of these well-preserved examples reaches a professional grading service, the final grade becomes the defining factor of its value. A difference of just one grade level can shift the price by hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Because of this, the few 1974 D pennies that achieve the highest grading levels have become favorites among serious collectors. They know how rare these coins are. They know how challenging it is to find one that survived in near-perfect condition. And they know that the demand for top-grade Lincoln Memorial pennies continues to grow. Certain coins from the series have already set impressive price records, and the 1974 D is among them. It doesn't need unusual errors. It doesn't need a special composition. Its value comes almost entirely from condition, scarcity at the best grades, and strong collector interest. Many collectors note that coins from this era were often stored without much care, further reducing the number of well-preserved examples. Original rolls from the 1970s are now hard to find, and most of them show the same typical marks and aging. This makes the standout pieces even more appealing. Some collectors spend years searching through rolls hoping to find one that stands out from the rest. Even when they do locate a clean example, getting the highest grade is still far from guaranteed. Each small detail, each faint line, plays a role in how the coin is judged. As time goes on, fewer untouched examples remain available, making the best surviving pieces even more attractive to experienced collectors. The market for these high-grade pennies has grown steadily as more people learn about their rarity. Even beginners in the hobby often start searching their change for 1974 D pennies after hearing about the impressive auction results. The coin has become a frequent topic in coin clubs and online discussions, where collectors share photos, grading results, and search experiences. Many enjoy the idea that such a familiar coin can still offer surprising value. For decades, many people simply overlooked this coin. They assumed all 1974 pennies were worth only a cent. But as more collectors searched rolls and boxes looking for standout strikes, the truth became clear: only a very small number were produced with such clean, sharp detail, and even fewer survived untouched. When one of those rare survivors appeared at auction, it caught immediate attention. Collectors recognized its quality right away, and competition built quickly. The final bid set a new benchmark for what a truly exceptional 1974 penny could achieve. And this brings us to the reason this coin is ranked as the first and most impressive coin of today's video. After years hidden away, after passing through expert evaluations, and after reaching the auction floor, the coin's true worth was finally realized. One of these high-grade 1974 pennies, preserved far beyond the condition of the ordinary examples we see every day, reached a value that almost no one would expect from a simple 1-cent piece. The rarest known example of the 1974 penny sold for an impressive $78,000. Yes, $78,000 for a penny that most people would overlook. And that is what makes this coin such a standout. It shows how ordinary coins can hold hidden value. The next coin on today's list is the 1983 Lincoln penny, a coin that seems completely ordinary at first glance but becomes far more interesting once its finer details are examined. Many people see this date as just another modern coin, yet collectors who study the small differences in minting quality quickly learn that a select few examples from this year behave differently from the rest. What sets these coins apart is not a visible error, not a special design, but the overall strength and clarity of the strike, something that only appears on a very limited number of pieces. When collectors began comparing different 1983 pennies side by side, they noticed that while most had soft edges and slightly dull surfaces, a very small number stood out with noticeably stronger detail. On these rare examples, the raised elements look cleaner, the edges appear sharper, and the surfaces reflect light more evenly. These characteristics don't appear because of anything unusual added to the coin, they appear because the minting process lined up just right at a precise moment. During periods of high production, dies wear down and presses are adjusted frequently, resulting in coins that vary in quality. Most of the 1983 coins show these signs clearly, but the standout pieces from this year look like they avoided all of the typical issues. They give the impression that they were struck under optimal pressure, with fresh dies, and without the kind of surface disruptions that usually occur when coins move through the machinery. As collectors continued examining thousands of examples, they discovered that finding one of these high-quality pieces was far more challenging than they expected. Even unsearched rolls rarely produce coins with surfaces clean enough to grade at the highest levels. Most coins show small marks, faint rub, or minor imperfections, not surprising for the era. That's why the few that remain clear, sharp, and bright became the focus of modern coin specialists. Looking at one of these top-condition examples under magnification reveals exactly why they gained so much attention. The surfaces appear smooth and consistent rather than showing the typical texture changes seen in other pieces from the year. The lettering stands out with firm, well-shaped edges, and the finer elements look more defined than usual. This level of clarity is uncommon enough that experienced collectors immediately recognize when a 1983 penny is above the norm. Over time, the search for high-grade pieces took on a steady pace within the collecting community. People who enjoy roll searching began checking their 1983 coins with greater care, knowing that even a single well-preserved piece could stand out dramatically. Others reviewed old sets, folders, and stored bags, hoping to come across one of the exceptional survivors. But despite all this searching, the number of truly top-condition examples remained extremely small. Each time a collector found a piece with slightly better detail, they compared it to reference images of the best-known example. Most coins still fell short. The standout piece from this date became a sort of measuring standard, something collectors used to judge the best of what they discovered. That coin did not gain its status from any bright, flashy feature. It gained it from its overall consistency and cleanliness, qualities that are very rare among 1983 pieces. Professionals who examined the finest known example noted how unusually fresh the surfaces appeared for a coin of its time. The details held up under close inspection, and the overall presentation suggested a coin that was preserved almost immediately after striking. Very few modern coins survive that cleanly, especially from a year when the minting process focused more on volume than on creating long-lasting quality. Interest in this particular 1983 D penny continued to grow as more collectors learned about it. It became known as one of those modern coins that proves not every valuable piece needs an error or a special composition. Sometimes, the rarity is simply in how well a coin survived. Collectors appreciate that kind of rarity because it cannot be reproduced. It depends on a combination of timing, preservation, and untouched surfaces. As discussions about this coin spread, its reputation strengthened. People began referencing it as an example of how important condition can be, even for modern dates. Some collectors who had never paid attention to the 1983 D penny before suddenly found themselves checking every one they owned, hoping to find a piece with similar clarity. And although many found nice coins, none matched the top-known example. Eventually, the coin changed hands privately, and the transaction brought attention not just because of the coin's quality, but because of the amount associated with it. The figure revealed the true level of interest surrounding the finest 1983 D penny known. Instead of introducing the number dramatically, it's better to state it plainly, the same way collectors talk among themselves when a rare coin sets a new standard. The exceptional 1983 D penny, preserved at a level far beyond typical examples, reached a value that firmly established its place among the most impressive modern finds. That top-condition 1983 D Lincoln penny was valued at $66,000, marking it as one of the standout modern coins of all time. Up next is the 1991 D Lincoln penny, a coin that, to most people, looks just like any other penny in circulation. But for collectors who pay close attention to modern coins, this date holds a quiet but notable distinction. While it wasn't a year marked by errors or design changes, a very small number of 1991 D pennies have survived in exceptional condition, far beyond what most coins from the early 1990s show. Unlike coins from earlier decades, the 1991 D penny was produced during a period when the mint focused on volume over perfection. Millions were struck, yet the conditions of production and storage meant that most examples developed light abrasions, faint contact marks, or subtle flaws very early in life. That makes the few coins that avoided this almost pristine, and immediately noticeable to those who study the subtle nuances of modern coins. Collectors who have handled these rare 1991 D examples often remark on their sharpness. The letters, numbers, and even Lincoln's smallest features remain defined, with edges that are clean and precise. The fields, the flat areas around the design, appear smooth and untouched, unlike the typical texture seen on most circulated pennies. This combination of clarity and evenness is rare for a coin from this era, and it is precisely what makes these examples so sought after. When looking at the coin under magnification, the differences become even clearer. The lines of Lincoln's profile remain crisp, the details in his hair and suit are distinct, and the raised surfaces of the coin retain a firmness that most 1991 D pennies lack. Even the rims, which are usually the first areas to show wear, remain well defined. These subtle differences are what set the finest examples apart and allow collectors to recognize them instantly. The rarity of these coins isn't due to a limited mintage. The Denver Mint produced a very large number of pennies in 1991, and most passed quickly into circulation. The exceptional examples survived because they were handled minimally, stored carefully, or kept away from the harsh conditions of circulation. Finding one today is like discovering a time capsule, a coin that has essentially preserved the moment it left the mint. Interest in these coins has grown steadily over the years. Enthusiasts search rolls, examine old collections, and inspect stored bags of pennies in hopes of finding one with the same exceptional qualities. Even when a coin appears clean at first glance, many fail to match the high standard set by the top examples. This scarcity reinforces the coin's value and reputation among collectors who focus on condition. Collectors often use the finest known 1991 D penny as a benchmark for modern-date quality. It demonstrates how condition alone can elevate a coin's importance, even when the date itself is common. Unlike error coins or rare minting varieties, this penny's appeal lies entirely in its preservation. The better it has survived, the more it proves how modern coins can achieve premium value. Experts note that the finest examples from 1991 show a remarkable balance between sharpness and smooth surfaces. The high points of the design are firm but not worn, and the flat areas reflect light evenly, giving the coin a natural, clean appearance. These traits indicate that the coin was struck at optimal pressure with fresh dies and then preserved in a way that avoided contact or damage for decades. Over time, this coin has become a reference point for collectors studying the early 1990s. It's proof that even coins from recent decades can attain status when preserved correctly. While many collectors focus on coins from the 19th or early 20th centuries, modern examples like this penny remind enthusiasts that condition is just as crucial today. The story of the coin's circulation is also part of its appeal. Most 1991 pennies entered bags for businesses or went directly into circulation, experiencing daily handling and friction that slowly diminishes detail. The exceptional examples, however, avoided this journey. They may have been stored in albums, kept in original rolls, or otherwise protected from the wear that makes most coins from this year ordinary. This history of preservation adds a layer of intrigue for collectors who value both quality and survival story. Collectors often talk about the coin not just for its rarity, but for the lessons it offers about patience and attention to detail in modern collecting. It's a coin that rewards those willing to carefully examine every roll and collection, proving that hidden gems can exist even in seemingly common years. Its presence has inspired hobbyists to treat everyday coins with greater appreciation, knowing that condition alone can create extraordinary value. Eventually, the finest known 1991 penny passed into private hands. The transaction underscored the coin's status, proving that a modern penny, when preserved at the highest level, can achieve recognition and value typically associated with older, rarer coins. It's a reminder that modern collecting isn't just about finding errors, it's about identifying and appreciating coins that have truly stood the test of time. And so, without any exaggeration, the top 1991 Lincoln penny has a confirmed value of $63,000, showing that exceptional condition alone can turn an otherwise common penny into a modern collecting treasure. Now let's explore the 2003 Lincoln penny, a coin that at first glance seems ordinary but holds a surprising allure for modern collectors. Unlike older pennies where rarity often comes from age or errors, this coin's appeal lies in the unique circumstances of its production and the very small number of examples that survived in near-perfect condition. The 2003 penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a year when the focus was on efficiency and high-volume output. Millions of these pennies were made, intended to meet everyday transactional needs. Most circulated quickly, exchanging hands countless times, which makes pristine specimens incredibly uncommon. For a coin so recent, finding one with nearly flawless surfaces is a rare occurrence that immediately catches the eye of collectors. What sets the top 2003 pennies apart is their sharpness. The lettering, the date, and Lincoln's profile remain crisp and distinct, while the fields, the smooth, flat areas around the design, show almost no marks or abrasions. These coins display a clarity and brightness that many collectors thought impossible for a penny from the early 2000s. When held under light, the surfaces reveal a subtle sheen that hints at their careful preservation. Experts note that the finest 2003 pennies demonstrate striking uniformity. The high points of the design, including Lincoln's coat and facial features, retain a level of detail rarely seen. Even the rims, which are often the first areas to show wear, appear sharp and consistent. Collectors who have studied these coins often describe them as mint condition miracles, because of the difficulty in locating such an example among the millions produced. The story behind their survival is equally fascinating. Many of these pennies were likely stored immediately after minting, either in rolls or collections, and avoided circulation altogether. Unlike coins that passed through countless hands, these exceptional examples were protected from scratches, friction, and environmental damage. Their survival gives them a unique narrative, a modern coin that has essentially remained frozen in time since it was struck. Collectors often approach these coins with meticulous care. They inspect every corner, every detail, and every reflection, seeking the subtle differences that distinguish a top-tier 2003 penny from one that shows even the slightest handling. This level of attention underscores the growing appreciation for modern coins, where condition and preservation can be just as valuable as age or errors. Over the years, the 2003 penny has developed a small but passionate following among enthusiasts who specialize in modern-date coins. Its rarity and pristine condition makes it a highly sought-after addition to any serious collection. Those fortunate enough to acquire one often treat it as a centerpiece, representing both the importance of modern preservation and the unexpected value that can emerge from coins of recent years. Unlike some rare coins where value comes from design anomalies, this penny's worth is tied entirely to its flawless condition. It demonstrates how even a coin that seems ordinary at first glance can become extraordinary with the right combination of sharpness, smooth fields, and careful survival. The story it tells is not just about scarcity, but about the dedication and attention to detail of collectors who recognize its true significance. Interestingly, the 2003 penny also highlights the contrast between circulated and uncirculated coins. While millions of these pennies were used in everyday transactions, only a few managed to escape the wear and tear of commerce. This duality makes the coin an interesting case study for enthusiasts, a common date that becomes rare simply because it remained untouched. Some collectors have even noted subtle variations in tone and luster among the finest 2003 pennies, with certain examples exhibiting a slightly brighter, more reflective surface that sets them apart from their peers. These nuanced traits, though easy to overlook, further elevate the coin's desirability and demonstrate how careful observation can reveal hidden value. The 2003 penny also serves as a reminder that modern coins can still hold surprises for the numismatic community. Even in an era of mass production, where most pennies are quickly lost or damaged, extraordinary examples can appear, catching collectors off guard and sparking renewed interest in contemporary coins. For many collectors, the excitement of discovering a top-quality 2003 penny comes from the challenge itself. Knowing that only a handful exist in perfect condition adds a sense of exclusivity and achievement. Some enthusiasts even compare the hunt for these coins to a modern treasure hunt, where patience and keen observation are rewarded. In addition, the coin's preservation tells a story of care and foresight. Whoever safeguarded these pennies decades ago likely didn't anticipate their eventual value, yet their attention created a rare artifact of modern minting. This intersection of everyday utility and collector significance adds an extra layer of fascination. Moreover, the finest examples of this penny often serve as teaching tools for newer collectors. They demonstrate what to look for in terms of luster, sharpness, and untouched surfaces, setting a benchmark for how even recently minted coins can be highly collectible. And finally, for those curious about its market standing, the finest known 2003 Lincoln penny has reached a remarkable value of $31,000, a striking reminder that even a modern penny, when preserved perfectly, can command a price usually reserved for much older and rarer coins. It proves that condition, care, and timing can transform a seemingly ordinary coin into a prized collectible, and that modern numismatics holds treasures just waiting to be discovered. In the last, we have the 2014 Lincoln penny, a coin that appears ordinary at first glance, yet carries a quiet intrigue for collectors who pay close attention to modern coins. Unlike older or historically significant pennies, its allure isn't in errors or limited mintage, but in the subtle features and preservation that make some examples stand out among the millions produced. The 2014 penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint during a time when production focused on efficiency and consistency. Millions of coins were made for everyday use, quickly entering circulation. Most were handled in countless transactions, suffering minor abrasions, nicks, and contact marks that are typical of any modern coin. Yet, a small number survived with little or no wear, keeping their surfaces nearly flawless and making them exceptional in condition. Collectors examining these pennies notice how even small differences can make a coin special. The high points of Lincoln's design, the facial features, coat details, and hair, remain sharply defined. The lettering of Liberty and the date are clear, and the rims are firm and undamaged. These traits, while subtle, are enough to separate an ordinary coin from one that could be highly desirable. What makes the 2014 penny fascinating is how preservation alone can elevate its value. Unlike coins from earlier decades, where rarity often stems from limited production, errors, or historical context, this coin demonstrates that careful handling and storage can create something truly collectible. For modern collectors, spotting a pristine 2014 penny is an exercise in careful observation, patience, and attention to detail. Some enthusiasts have discovered that pennies stored in original rolls, protective albums, or untouched collections can reveal qualities that are easy to overlook. The color, sheen, and reflective surfaces of a perfectly preserved 2014 penny often catch the eye in a way that ordinary circulated coins do not. Even slight variations in luster or tone can make a coin stand out to someone who knows what to look for. Collectors also find joy in studying the small differences that define condition. Minor scratches, abrasions, or faint discoloration can mean the difference between a coin that is ordinary and one that commands attention. With modern pennies, the rarity is in finding coins that escaped circulation almost entirely, maintaining the crispness and clarity they had when they left the mint. The 2014 penny also serves as a reminder that modern coins can still carry surprises. While it may seem recent and common, its preservation tells a story of care and luck. Someone, somewhere, took the time to protect it from the wear that most coins experience. For collectors, that story adds a layer of intrigue, making the hunt for these coins more rewarding. Even for those new to modern coin collecting, the 2014 Lincoln penny highlights the principle that condition matters as much as age. The thrill comes from examining each coin under light, checking the fields, rims, and fine details, and identifying subtle qualities that might indicate it is one of the few exceptionally preserved examples. Interestingly, some of the finest 2014 pennies exhibit a brightness and smoothness that seems almost impossible for such a recent issue. These coins appear as though they were frozen in time, untouched by circulation, and still retaining the crispness of the original mint strike. This creates an unusual and captivating contrast with ordinary pennies from the same year that show obvious signs of everyday handling. Collectors often approach this coin with curiosity and caution. The excitement is not just in owning it but in understanding what makes it different. A well-preserved 2014 penny demonstrates that even in an era of mass production, small details and careful handling can create something noteworthy for collectors who look beyond age and rarity alone. Even more, the coin can spark conversations about modern minting techniques, the care of contemporary coins, and the ways collectors spot subtle differences that make a coin stand out. Its story is not just about the year or design but about human attention and care across time. Some of these pennies have been kept in collections for years, untouched, only now emerging for examination. The sense of discovery, even for a modern coin, can be surprisingly satisfying for collectors who know what to look for. The coin's reflective surfaces, crisp details, and untouched rims make it a rewarding find for those who carefully inspect rolls, bags, or old collections. Even a small scratch or imperfection can lower its appeal, which makes finding one in pristine condition all the more exciting. Ultimately, while the 2014 Lincoln penny may seem ordinary to most, it could be worth much more than its face value to the right collector. It's a reminder that hidden gems exist even in modern coins, and that a coin kept safe and untouched for years can become a small but fascinating treasure. So if you ever come across a 2014 penny in exceptional condition, handle it carefully. It might just be the kind of modern collectible that surprises you with its potential. And who knows? That tiny coin in your hand could quietly be one of the most desirable modern pennies around, waiting to reveal its story to the patient and observant collector. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through some of the most fascinating pennies in modern collecting. I hope you enjoyed discovering the stories behind these coins as much as I did sharing them with you. If you liked this video and want to see more content about rare coins and hidden collectibles, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future videos.